and playing Reinhardt on that kind of a ping is not going to be quite so easy. So again, exactly here, I wouldn't be particularly surprised to see Sydney Drop Bears persisting with a lot of what we're calling the Mountain Goats, the floats composition with the Winston instead of the Reinhardt as the main tank. And they do want to just dive a little bit more with that roster as opposed to play a little bit more of a brawlier composition. On the other side of things, Blank Esports, they've gone with their tried and true. That is going to be Tails on the McCree. So what Blank wants to do here is keep that McCree alive in this fight. The longer the fight goes, the longer the McCree survives, the more advantageous it will become for Blank Esports because they will be able to output more damage than what Sydney Drop Bears will. Well,
we're going to kick off our first map of 4 here on Ilios. And Jordan, we're on Lighthouse. Let's see how this goes. I think you're right. We saw a lot of plays last week with the Brigida up against the Rhine. And if you're down on latency, if that's not in your favor, it's going to be tough to play that sort of mirror matchup, Reinhardt versus Reinhardt, Brigida up against Brigida.
Yep.
But the Drop Bear is going to walk onto the point to kick things off here. It looks like they're going to get capture very early on as well.
Yeah, very interesting that Blank Esports are not the ones to dive onto the point first, but Sydney Drop Bears do get themselves an easy cap, and right now it seems as though Blank are having trouble finding a reasonable engage. Chronodota pushing forward onto the high ground. It's going to allow Huss to build up quite a lot of charge with the Xayah bubble, and right now Sydney Drop Bears are looking very, very strong.
Yeah.
Blank Esports just can't seem to find the engage that they want with that Reinhardt in the correct position.
Tails with the Deadeye pushing through, looking for any sort of pick. Nellery very low. Sound barrier comes out in the nick of time. Nicely played from Kura. Huss going to come through with the Graviton Surge as well. Nellery gets low, stays alive. Rory the first one to be picked up there by Blank. The Drop Bears sitting on a pocket full of ultimates as well, Jordan. But it's Huss right now, up at 100% energy.
Yeah.
Going to help clean off the rest of the Blank Esports players. Sydney Drop Bears up to 42%.
Yeah, Huss is an absolute machine on the Xayah. We saw that last week. I think he was the standout player for Sydney Drop Bears, and that seems to be absolutely no change coming into this week as well. Charging on forward with the Lucio speed boost there from Sydney Drop Bears, and they make a very favourable engage for themselves. Now Blank Esports trying once again. Nellery has the Earth Shatter and needs to find a good one here. Otherwise it might be done and dusted for Blank.
You think it's almost impossible for them to win this engage with 2 support ultimates available here for the Drop Bears as well. Roro will be using the ultimate there to get that across the line as well. Armor for everyone with the rally. But look at that, a Kraken and Huss both finding picks. Tongue will go down, but it's really not going to make a difference here, Jordan. Yep. Already up to 77%. Still sitting on both support ultimates here of the Drop Bears, plus Huss with that Graviton Surge. Blank going to have one last engage here. They're going to need to make it good.
Nice bit of parkour there from Huss. Got to say, Bertlog had a big impact in that last fight, isolating Nellery away from his team. Sydney Drop Bears able to focus him down, and as a result, an easy fight won there for Sydney Drop Bears.
Sound barrier comes through along with the Graviton Surge from the Drop Bears. They are throwing everything they have at this right now. They know if they win the initial engage, they win the fight, they get the point. They've done that with ease. This is going to be 100-0. Nice start here on Lighthouse from the Drop Bears.
Absolutely. That was way too easy for Sydney Drop Bears. Blank Esports just getting punished. Most particularly, Nellery was getting punished super hard. Every single fight that I was able to kind of take a look at there, it seemed like Nellery was either forced out of position or overextended. Sydney Drop Bears were able to focus down that Reinhardt, and that is exactly what you need to be doing against a composition like that. It wasn't exactly the GOAT's composition out from Blank Esports, but so close to it. The main tank is such a key factor. If the Reinhardt is down or not a factor, it's so easy for Sydney Drop Bears to just bully out the rest of the players with that extra damage. For example, with Xayah, with 100% of that energy charged up, Huss is able to wreak havoc on the Blank Esports roster, and I think that was really dictated so extensively by Sydney Drop Bears that Blank Esports really need to change things up here, and they most certainly have. They've gone for, I guess, a little bit more of an anti-GOATs, quote-unquote, composition. Not sure how well it is going to work for Roro here, though, because Huss is going to be on that McCree straight away, expecting this, and it's not really even a GOATs composition out from Sydney Drop Bears. They have got the Orisa there as well.
Yeah, Orisa Holt is very, very useful here on Well as well. Potential to suck them into the middle of the Abyss, Jordan. But we'll see what Roro can do coming out on the Farah. Looking to find a little bit of early damage, perhaps, to start things off. For now, everyone's still going strong. The point about to unlock. We'll see whether Tails can find the pick that they need. But the Drop Bears looking strong. Everyone still relatively healthy. A Kraken a little bit low. I guess gets out of trouble for now. Blank almost capturing the point. There we go. That's a much better start. But are they able to hold it?
Well, you can see that Sydney Drop Bears are really trying to play around that close ground. Bertlog should be okay. No, double headshot straight out from Roro, but he's going to be able to knock A few of them
Roro
down.
on 3 HP finally goes down to a Kraken. Kura picked up that Mercy, is now gone as well. The Drop Bears looking to retake, but it's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, that was all started out by Roro getting the 2 shots straight on top of the head of Bertlog, absolutely smacking him away. Direct hits right now is what you need with the new Farah changes, so able to execute that. Wouldn't be surprised to see the change up from Sydney Drop Bears, and indeed there it is, Coronadota straight over onto the Winston. Sydney Drop Bears were really being bullied by the Farah, so this is going to give them a little bit more of an opportunity to play on their own terms as opposed to try and stay safe hiding away in the room inside.
Yeah, a couple of headshots will get Haas across the line, ready to go with the Deadeye. We can walk out onto the point in safety. We'll put him in good position, going to look for the support. Not going to find it. Nellery comes through, throws out the shield as well. Unfortunately, not able to find that Mercy, but for Blank, this is some pretty good plays. They're going to find 3 quick kills, already up to 60% here, Jordan. And the Drop Bears going to have to regroup and retry.
Yeah, definitely a good response here from Blank Esports, really putting Sydney Drop Bears under the pump, forcing them to make a lot of changes in the mid-round, which is going to put them behind, economically speaking, as far as the ults are concerned. But as soon as Hutz is on the Widowmaker, he's had an impact already. Tails losing that Angel initially. He's going to be able to put a little bit more pressure onto Roro as compared to what he would have been able to on the McCree. Widow generally considered one of the best counters to the Farah at the moment. Huss is going to have to make it work, and if there is one player that can do that, it certainly is Huss. This time, though, Tails will get the better of it, and there's no mercy for the res.
Well, that's less than ideal. They're going to go 1 down into this fight, but Tails is picked up there by Chrono. It's a 1-for-1 trade on the Widows. Obviously, the Drop Bears with a lot more in the way of ultimates to work with here, and they will be able to pick this up. Look at this! Punk, he finds 2 quick kills as well. But I don't know if it really mattered, to be perfectly honest. The rest of the team was also following through. But either way, the Drop Bears will manage to get across the line 99%.
Very nice stuff from Sydney Drop Bears, though, in that fight. Obviously, they lose Huss early, but there is the immediate response. They know that they need to trade out. They can't just sit around, wait, and take the 6v5. They need to go and turn it into a 5v5, and that's exactly what they do by picking Tails off. Chaos then ensues for Blank Esports. Up to 99, though, for Blank Esports. They have plenty of time to cap this one back, but we'll see. Now that Sydney Drop Bears have given an inch, will they take the mile?
If you have a look at Blank, they do have 4 ultimates available right now, soon to be 6 to be perfectly honest. So they have plenty of time and a lot to work with right now. Just looking for the ideal engage, one might suggest. Huss going to come out, see what he can do with the Infra sight. It's going to allow the rest of his team to find 2 quick kills. The rest of Blank decide to get out of dodge. They're going to regroup and try again. Still 50% to go.
Yeah, some important time there for Sydney Drop Bears to build their ults up a little bit. Chrono, the only one to use anything, I guess Huss as well, but to be fair, that is one that you sort of just throw out a little bit more willy-nilly. That said, Blank Esports, they've got 5 ultimates available right now, so Sydney Drop Bears are going to have to win an absolutely massive fight here if they're going to hold on to Ilios. It's going to be on a Kraken with that Transcendence. He needs to come off with a huge chance to keep his team alive, because there is just so much to work with right now for Blank Esports.
Yeah, Kraken needs to make sure his timing is perfect. It's going to be hard with Roro up above. Nod's going to go down, though, to a Kraken straight away. He wasn't worried about the trance to start with. Now he's going to pop that one out, keep his team alive, just trying to stay on the point, trying to get all their ultimates up, trying to get to 100% for themselves. Blank still with a lot to work with here. Tongue is low, Tongue goes down with trance. Blank going to have to reset once again. There's going to be one more fight in this round, John, and it's going to be at 99 to 99.
Yeah.
Great kill there on Tonellery.
That's huge timing for Huss to get a kill there as well. And there's a Rocket Barrage forced out by Roro already. Sydney Drop Bears, they're putting Blank Esports on the back foot before the fight even starts. Overtime is secured, but they might not be able to win this round now.
Yeah, they are very staggered trying to get back onto this point. The Drop Bears in prime position.
Noz
down into the well. There you go. Diva is out. Nellery going to be coming in late. Just one tank to work with here for Blank. Looking far less than ideal. Tails down, Gura down. The Drop Bears going to make it 2-0 here on Ilios. Coming back from 99% down there, Jordan. It looked like there was no way that Blank could lose that, yet they did.
Well, they made it look easy as well, Sydney Drop Bears. Unfortunately for Blank, really, once those roster swaps came out from Sydney Drop Bears, once Chronodota went over onto the Winston, once Huss went over onto the Widowmaker in particular, once Huss went over to the Widowmaker, things just absolutely changed. The play was absolutely dictated by Huss there. He was able to find so many critical picks. And not to mention that one fight that was won really with only a Kraken's Transcendence. I think a little bit of a misplay out from Blank Esports there with Noz getting picked off early. There was such a big amount of ultimates for Blank Esports to play with. All they had to do was go in together, throw out their ultimates together, and you can almost assure yourself a win as long as you execute correctly. But unfortunately, what they did was not execute correctly. Players got picked off. They had to back away. Then they were forced into pressure-filled situations where they then forced some ultimates. A couple of players got picked off. And by the time it was up to 95% for Sydney Drop Bears, Blank Esports were kind of scrambling to even get to the point, and they didn't really have a committed final push, even despite having all those ultimates available. So very, very nice stuff from Sydney Drop Bears, absolutely dictating the play there and really putting Blank Esports under the pressure when it mattered most.
Look, the thing is for me, when a Kraken knows he's the only ultimate for his team and he's the one that needs to get that Transcendence off on time, yeah, he goes out and finds the pick as well. Man, that's pretty gutsy, and obviously some great play coming out from him. The supports make a big difference if they do their part. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, Kraken is known for being one of the more, I suppose, quote-unquote, bloodthirsty supports. Yeah. Especially when we saw in like the World Cup, for example, his sleep darts on Ana and Bionades and that kind of stuff were absolutely incredible. Obviously, transferring that over to the Zenyatta now, being able to find a lot of frags. So really great stuff from a Kraken. I think across the board there, Sydney Drop Bears again looked pretty good. Chrono Dota didn't really seem to flounder at all in this new roster, as to be expected. When you have a roster of champions around you, it is very, very easy then to be enabled yourself. And for Huss, I think, again, he's having a fantastic performance. We've only seen a couple of rounds of Ilios there, but already Huss looking dangerous today. And so far, for me, again, the pick of the bunch for Sydney Drop Bears.
Well, let's go and take a look at our maps, Jordan. It's going to be Numbani, our hybrid game mode here. This is going to be the pick of Blank Esports. Look, I don't want to write Blank off too early. There were some great moments in there, particularly at the start of a course on Well. It was just a little bit disheartening, I suppose, to see where it looked like maybe they had that advantage coming through where surely they could close it out, yet weren't able to.
The problem was they just started getting staggered a little bit too much. They really felt the pressure, I think, against Sydney Drop Bears. They were at 99%. They were thinking, yeah, we can finish this one off. And then they're like, oh, no, maybe it's not going to happen. And that starts to get in your head.
The pick on Denellery as well, like the stagger, it just makes life so tough. So
so moving on to Numbani, first time we're going to see both of these two teams playing on this map. Neither played it last week. But for me, looking at what Numbani will show for us, we're going to get that high ground on the first point. I think that is going to favour Chrono Dota a little bit here. It will allow him to play the Winston at least to start things off. Looking at the two rosters, it is going to be, of course, Sydney Drop Bears starting on the defense, being that it was the choice of Blank. So Sydney Drop Bears do get to choose what side they start on this map. Weird sort of a setup to start things off here for Blank Esports, but it's not going to be lasting. Winston going to come out there. Very dive-heavy composition out from at least the tanks of Blank Esports. Roro will go over to the Genji. Big fan of that. We saw some great stuff out from Roro last week on Genji, so we'll have to hope to see something similar once again.
Great to see some exciting plays coming out here from Blank. See how this plays through for now.
Well, Huss knows what's going on now. He's spotted the info.
He's got the ideas. Looking for perhaps a quick hack.
Well, just needs to bide his time. Once the tanks dive in, he's going to have free reign over the supports, particularly Zenyatta, who can't actually follow.
Well, yep, the last one coming through. Both supports actually by themselves. Look at that. CKM with the Doom Beast straight away onto Tung. That is definitely less than ideal. Kura going to be found out as well. Roro does try and bring one back, but they have no healers now to try and push through with his dive comp. You'd expect Blank will get picked up one by one, and that is definitely the case, though. It was almost close, and then it wasn't.
It wasn't really, I don't think. For Sydney Drop Bears, being able to find both of those supports so early on in the fight does mean that there is just no chance that they're going to win that fight. The sustain is going to be there, while it won't be for Blank Esports. Not too much established there for Blank. I mean, Roro up to 65% of the Dragon Blade, getting close. But for the moment, Sydney Drop Bears definitely have got the pace favouring them. CKM really up to the Meteor Strike, so he can dive very, very deep in this next fight. Look for those two supports once again, and then get out quite safe when he does charge the Meteor Strike up. A Kraken also with the Nano Boost going to be able to keep his team alive quite easily. And already, again, we're seeing CKM have that impact.
As soon as Nellery leaves, as soon as that tank is out of the fight, onto the high ground, the supports are immediately picked up.
Yeah, and that fight occurs exactly how it should have. for Sydney Drop Bears as well. I guess Chrono Dota going down a little bit unfortunate, but for CKM being able to start off with a pick, that allows him to charge the Meteor Strike, able to do a little bit more damage, throws out the Meteor Strike, also finds another kill with that one, and keeps himself alive. That's perfect for Sydney Drop Bears. Great ult economy management as they only take one ult there for the fight win, and Sydney Drop Bears now have got quite a few more left in the back pocket. So too do Blank, but EMP can shut that down straight away. Yeah,
2 minutes left on the clock for this attacking phase for Blank Esports. They have a little bit to prove here after not a very successful attempt on Ilios. This is their map, but look at this. Kura, Roro, Tung all down. Noz demeched. And Nellery going to jump off the side along with Noz here. See you later. Let's try this again.
Yeah, I definitely would not want to be one of the supports for Blank Esports at this point. You've got a Doomfist diving you. You've got a Winston diving you. You've probably got the D.Va following up a little bit there, here and there as well. Not to mention Huss is around the back as well on the Sombra. So there's literally no way that as a support you can survive without the backup of your team. And Blank Esports at the moment are not doing a good enough job of keeping those supports alive. That said, Blank have been taking a lot of dry fights here. In fact, they haven't really been fights. They've been more skirmishes. Now this is going to be a committed push from Blank Esports, but Huss will look to shut it down.
He will indeed. Almost goes down there. A Kraken actually the first one down to Roro. Roro looking for the other support. It's not going to be available at the moment. Bertlog picks a Kraken up. 2 supports now still alive here for the Drop Bears as Kura goes down for Blank. It's only Nellery now with an ultimate available here and is still alive. As I said, that Nellery gets out of the fight. Jordan, 45 seconds on the clock. They haven't even got one tick to start this thing off. Not looking great for Blank. They're going to need to make it work. If they've got anything on their side, is they do have that ultimate advantage.
Yeah, unfortunately not enough done by Roro. Only 1 kill with the Dragon Blade this time. EMP for Tails, but it's critical now for Sydney Drop Bears to find a kill before this EMP goes off. If CKM can do what he's been doing this entire round, Sydney Drop Bears can win this fight. But otherwise, EMP comes out and Blank should be able to find a victory.
Chrono half low to start things off, still waiting to pop that Primal Rage. We'll see when Tails decides to use this EMP. Not bad timing, but you can hear Chromos pop the Primal Rage in the background. Noz has a self-destruct on the point right now. Up to really not that far to start things off, only about 15% right now. You can see CKM going to use his ultimate, just trying to stay alive, get out of the line of fire, but it's not going to work. Punk going to find that kill. Blank finally starting to get some momentum here, but Punk is sitting on the point. The hacks come through. Noz has that self-destruct still available. Punk going to get picked up here, and finally Blank going to find the point.
Yeah, Sydney Drop Bears going to have to give this one up, and it was an inevitability, really. But it took a long time for Blank Esports to be able to cap that. Obviously, comes off the back of the EMP, the Primal Rage coming out there. I was surprised, actually, that CKM was able to survive for so long after being hit by that EMP. But in the end, Blank Esports will be able to cap the point up in overtime.
Yeah.
Which doesn't leave them a whole lot of time, actually, to get through phase 2 of the map. They have only got 2 minutes, and this is a long way to go. While this phase does tend to be quite quick, 1 or 2 fight wins here for Sydney Drop Bears is going to stall the payload, and there's an EMP very aggressive from Huss.
Absolutely looking to win this first fight to get some picks, and well, when they don't have much time to work with, this is quite critical, to be perfectly honest, and it's going to waste a lot of time here for Blank, heading towards Objective B. Look, it's not that far to get the payload, Jordan, but teams do start to struggle just towards the end of this second phase.
I think they're going to start to struggle at the start of this phase. It's going to be tough for them to actually get out of the spawn with Chrono Dota being put in such a strong position right now. Dive will come in on top of him, and he is hacked up. So really relying on their healers to keep him alive. Has to back away.
Tails about to get the EMP available. Roro coming through with the Nano Blade, looking to find some kills. He finds two big picks, and this should get the payload moving for now.
Yeah, not a whole lot that Sydney Drop Bears can do in response to the Nano Blade. Transcendence even is not going to be enough to keep you alive through the Nano Blade, assuming the Genji is actually playing it out correctly. And of course, we know that Roro is going to be able to do that. So Sydney Drop Bears are just going to have to cop the fight loss, but they still have bought enough time for themselves to be able to have one more attempt at this hold before the point is captured by Sydney Drop Bears. By Blank, I should say. For Blank, though, they have a lot of ultimates available. Tails, in particular, with the EMP, should be able to just shut this one down straight away. Chrono Dota, if he doesn't get that Primal off, is going to go down pretty quickly, and he won't be able to.
See you later. A Kraken going to get picked up there. The rest of the team does follow through, and hopefully this will let Blank build some other ultimates to get them across the line here towards Objective C, Jordan. They should be able to get this payload across very, very shortly. 30 seconds on the clock here. That's going to be topped up once again. 2 minutes, though. 2 minutes is not much time here at all.
That's a perfectly executed dive from Blank Esports. As soon as the EMP goes off, a Kraken loses all his shields. Nellery comes diving in, and a Kraken gets popped. then it's a 5v6. Blank Esports are able to clean up from there. Now it's a bit of a dangerous time actually for Sydney Drop Bears, as they are really scrambling to build some of those ults. The big one, of course, is going to be the Graviton Surge with Punk with the self-destruct, but they're just being punished.
Yeah, Kraken going to go down to Nellery in that Primal Rage to start things off. Roro coming through with yet another Dragon Blade, Jordan. CKM goes down, Husk goes down as well. Roro seems to have found his mojo here. 120 on the clock, they're going to get the payload moving once again. Going to get to this final quarter, heading to Objective C. Obviously, Defender's advantage here. They have a couple of ultimates to use, but look, Blanca looking good. Really
need to see one of these support ultimates coming up shortly for Sydney Drop Bears. Either a Kraken or Bertlog will need to keep the team alive through the EMP, but it's just not going to be possible.
Self-destruct from Punk. We'll see if that's enough to push them off, but now it is back into the mech he goes, but obviously less than ideal if you don't find the kills. Nellery going to go down. That's a big pick here for the Drop Bears. Again, that spawn advantage coming in their favor. Picks, if they're 1 for 1, that helps for them, particularly if it's going to be the tanks.
Well,
look at that. Nice. Cleans them up. Easy peasy.
Yeah, now the tables have most certainly turned with that fight. A lot invested in by Blank Esports, and really almost no return. EMP out from Tails. He is going to swap off to the Brigitte, but now we're looking at both support ultimates available for Sydney Drop Bears in what should be the final fight, not to mention a Graviton Surge as well. It seems as though there's almost no chance that Sydney Drop Bears are going to allow this one to go through. With those two support ultimates, they have so much survivability in this fight, and Blank don't have the damage to burst through it unless they have perfect focus fire on those Discord orbs and maybe get a little bit lucky here. I'd be surprised to see Sydney Drop Bears dropping this one.
Chrono over onto the Reinhardt here. That shield should be able to defend against any half-decent self-destruct. Going to hold behind. The Graviton Surge comes through. Still swings it out. Shield available. Everyone stays alive. Look at that. Kura, Nellery, Tails all down. The Drop Bears will defend the point, stop the payload. Just short of Objective C. 65 meters is what Blank gets, though, to be fair, Jordan, considering how they went on Objective A, that's not half bad.
It's not too bad, but I wonder if it is going to be enough there. Very, very solid final fight out from Sydney Drop Bears as well. They didn't even need a Kraken's Transcendence, so you could see it was perfectly executed from Sydney Drop Bears, not doubling down on the support ultimates, even though if they would have, it again wouldn't have made a difference to the fight in the end. I think that's a pretty reasonable hold, to be honest, from Sydney Drop Bears. We've shown, or at least they have shown, the tendency to be able to finish off maps pretty cleanly. So to not even get quite all the way up to the final point there, that's kind of just sort of around the bend when you think about how sometimes the payload gets stalled right on that final fight. I think for Sydney Drop Bears, that is definitely a very achievable goal, especially given the fact that this map, I think, is going to play to their strengths, which is going to be that dive kind of GOATS style composition that Sydney Drop Bears have been liking to run and will like to run with Chrono Dota. I think that Numbani really plays into their hands. So Blank Esports, for me, have got a bit of a difficult defense ahead of them here. Again, they're going to be defaulting back to their own strengths, their own tried and true methods, which is going to be Roro on the Farah, Tails, not necessarily on the Brigitte or anything like that. He's going to be back onto those hit scan heroes, where he does have quite a degree of proficiency. But for me, I look at this composition for Blank Esports and I wonder, how are they going to be able to deal with what Sydney Drop Bears are going to be running? How are they going to be able to keep those supports alive, as was such a problem on their own attack? So for me, CKM, Husk, Chrono, they're going to be real key players here for Sydney Drop Bears, the ones to watch as we head into this attacking phase for the Sydney Drop Bears.
The real issue here, Jordan, is that there is no second chance on defense.
And that said, there's also no defensive ultimate for Blank Esports here. So even if we do get to a point where Blank Esports are stalling for quite a long time, CKM is eventually going to build up that blade, and you can kind of bet that he's going to be able to get value out of it when there's no Transcendence, no sound barrier to cause any problems for him.
Well, CKM going to go down straight away there to Roro, and without a mercy, they're going to be forced back and have to try and regroup, do this one again. Maybe it's going to allow Huss a little bit more time to find himself some half-decent positioning. But it's a good initial pick coming out from Roro.
Yeah, definitely. Huss is obviously not particularly threatening just yet without that EMP. Look at how fast the Kraken is building up the nano boost, though. He's been doing a lot of damage to the Farah.
Yeah, here comes the dive again. Nice little sleep dart there coming out from Tung as well. And Chrono going to be the first one down. Tank down, Huss down. Look, to be fair, pretty good defense to start this off here from Blank.
Definitely.
They're going to need to continue to do that for the next 3 or so minutes, but the dive doesn't seem to be as coordinated as it needs to be right now for the Drop Bears.
I mean, yeah, not so much that, but also the fact that they just keep getting barraged by Roro here before they even get into the fight. And not necessarily with the rocket barrage, I mean just the regular rockets. They're going into the fight so low and able to get picked up quite easily. Neither CKM or Huss has really been able to have much of an impact.
Barrage available straight away. throws it on top of Chrono, who goes down, but CKM and Punk both find kills. Roro picked up, Kura goes down. Looks to me like the Drop Bears are starting to find some form again on this round.
Yeah, that's a perfectly placed nano boost out from a Kraken onto Chrono Dota, which will keep him alive. Noz is going to be still trying to contest this point. I'm not sure if this is workable for Blank Esports, but Noz is at least buying a little bit more time. Roro chiming in with some damage as well, but it definitely feels to me like this fight is already over, and it's more of a foregone conclusion than anything else.
Not going to find any kills with it, but CKM follows through, has this Dragon Blade available, won't need to use it. They are using up a little bit of time, Jordan, probably a good 30 or so seconds there, so that may come into use later, but let's consider that Blank did this in overtime. Drop Bears have an extra 2 minutes.
I want to touch back on a Kraken's nano boost there onto Chrono Dota. While the rocket barrage was coming down from Roro, Chrono Dota got very low, puts his shield down, which takes more time then for the rocket barrage to kill Chrono Dota, and then a nano boost comes out on him as well. So all of that rocket barrage is solely expended in trying to kill Chrono Dota, which frees up so much room for the rest of Sydney Drop Bears. That's exactly what you need to be doing as a main tank, and of course there's a Kraken there with a nano boost, trying to provide space for your DPS players to make some magic happen.
Well, they're going to run through the room here, Jordan, all coming out together at the same time. Kura going to go down to CKM, who has now decided to use that Dragon Blade, picks up 2. That's 2 supports down, Tails found as well. Finally, Nellery gets the kill, but it's not going to make a difference here. The Drop Bears going to come across ahead on this fight as soon as Nellery does go down. It takes a while. He does have a lot of HP. Definitely buying some time, but the payload will get moving once again, heading towards Objective B with 3.5 minutes on the clock.
CKM, what's he going to be swapping off onto? Brigitte here. But we might get to see a little bit more Doomfist action, which would have been cool, and might not necessarily have been a terrible choice, but we're going to go back to the standard stuff for Sydney Drop Bears, which is fair enough. This will put them into a good position when they do get through to the 3rd phase of the map, but they still have to cap up point B here. There's going to be a contest out from Blank. Self-destruct from Noz.
Yeah, over the top, looking to find some kills. Big kills. Finds 2 and the D-Mech. So this is a fight 1 for Blank, and just to be fair, in the nick of time.
Well, that was nice stuff from Noz. Worthy of the spray.
Yeah. Blank
Esports, nice hold. Sydney Drop Bears, unfortunately, despite investing a little bit there, are not going to be able to hold on. So this is where things might start to stall up a little bit, because Sydney Drop Bears, they are going to need a lot of time to build some impactful ultimates to get the play favouring them once again. They're taking a bit of a different route to what we have seen so far. Chrono Dota, the first time for him on Reinhardt in this season.
Yeah, let's see how it plays out. I think he used a whole 20 seconds of it at the end of last round. See how it comes out on attack now. A little bit different plays, to be sure. Punk still has this self-destruct available. See whether he uses it on the high ground or not. Everyone's going to start jumping down as the payload does get closer. Trance comes through on defense. The Graviton Surge pops out as well, trying to hold everyone onto the high ground. Not so successful at the moment. Punk did use that self-destruct and did find Roro, so that's not a bad start. Nellery starts to go down, stays alive for now. Everyone so high on HP here, Elfishguy. Finally, Nellery found out by a Kraken. Tails is low, about to go down. Kura picked up as well. Objective B will be captured by the Drop Bears. Now they're going to have a ton of time in the bank to push through phase 3.
That was perfect from Sydney Drop Bears. Once again, Chrono Dota just having a massive fight on that Reinhardt. That's exactly what you want to be doing, and that's where a lot of the damage of the GOAT's composition does come from. With that hammer cleaving through multiple players, Chrono Dota has been able to build up the Earthshatter in just the one fight. So for Blank Esports, they're going to have to deal with that. Nellery does not have one of his own. There's a Brigitte here for CKM as well. Sydney Drop Bears, they might finish this off very quickly indeed.
Yeah, let's see how the Drop Bears use their ultimates here. What is this economy going to look like at the end of this fight? Chrono looking for an epic Earthshatter. Graviton Surge going to come out along with the sound barrier. Self-destruct comes through. Has to hold out the shield. Heart's going to go down. That's a good pick there for Blank. They've used a couple of ultimates, but so have the Drop Bears. Still continuing to fight, but the Drop Bears going to be the ones to drop. Roro finds another, then follows up. That's Nellery onto Chrono. So the fight stops here. We thought the Drop Bears may have had the momentum. Blank do quite well.
Yeah, unfortunately for Chrono, just a little bit out of position there when the Graviton combo does come through. He throws out his Earthshatter, and I think it actually was a pretty decent one, but unfortunately, everyone was stuck in the Graviton Surge for Sydney Drop Bears, and Chrono wasn't in position to block the self-destruct with his shield. So for Sydney Drop Bears, kind of a little bit of a misplayed fight there, a little bit out of position, unfortunately, but they still have quite a bit of time here to work with. 65 meters is what they need to get to. But now it's started to favour Blank Esports a little bit. They've got both their support ultimates. Again, a lot of survivability right now on the roster for Blank, not to mention with all of that armor from the rally that they do still possess.
Hole-in-one is now available here for the Drop Bears, John. Let's see if they choose to pick it, particularly with no shield available for Nellery. This is a prime opportunity to use both those ultimates should they need to. Graviton Surge does come through. Self-destruct sits right on top. Transcendence is used, but everyone goes down before the bomb goes off, and well, it's just Tongue getting blown out of there by that big self-destruct. Yeah,
in the end, the self-destruct completely unnecessary because everyone had died before it, but nicely done from Sydney Drop Bears, getting the pick onto Nellery, main tank down, everyone folds like a pack of cards behind that. And now for Sydney Drop Bears, again, they have a pretty big advantage with that Reinhardt Earth Shatter. Oh, the combo not quite right. CKM didn't get the shield bash off.
Self-destruct going to sit right in the middle there. Nods was about to get D-Max, so uses it anyway. Husk goes down. That's a decent pick. Chrono followed up the sound barrier. Just a little bit too late here, perhaps, Jordan. They do find Nellery, but surely this is not going to be enough here for the Drop Bears.
They got Eden there by Punk. Great work from him. Still a chance here for Sydney Drop Bears to make this fight work as Nellery just coming off the respawn now, but he does have Earth Shatter. I think it's time for Sydney Drop Bears to cop the defeat here, reset themselves, because if they die, they're not going to have time for another fight. Self-destruct coming across from Punk. We'll find Roro. That's huge.
Yeah, that's a big pick. We'll see whether it's going to be enough. Nellery right onto the Reinhardt there with the Brigitte, but Nellery throws it through. Big Earth Shatter, finds a couple. Punk goes down to Noz. The Drop Bears not getting their way here, Jordan. Blank obviously have the respawn advantage pushing through. CKM will find the Reinhardt. That's a big help, but the sound barrier on defense might be enough to get Blank across to the line. Self-destruct from Blank as well. Noz has gone down to Chrono. Rora goes down as well. Even though they've used the ultis, Blank don't have the advantage here. A sound barrier finally coming out from the Drop Bears, and they are going to win Numbani. It looked like they were going to lose, but in the end, just too strong, John. I thought maybe that the Drop Bears had dropped that first sound barrier too early, that maybe they'd used up everything they had to get them across the line, but in the end, they got the picks. For whatever reason, they came through and won. Yeah, didn't look quite so confident there from Sydney Drop Bears towards the end. A little bit more messy. I thought once that Nellery Earth Shatter came across, Chrono Dota was very, very far back. The rest of his team in front of him, whether that was Chrono's fault or the Sydney Drop Bears' fault, they almost all got Earth Shattered, and I thought that was going to be it. I thought Blank was going to win off the back of that, but they didn't follow up on the Earth Shatter well enough. Everyone was able to survive, and then inevitably the fight did start to go the way of Sydney Drop Bears, as we are used to seeing. But I think from that map, what we can really gather is that it does look a lot stronger when Chrono Dota is on the Winston as opposed to the Reinhardt. There was a couple of times there where the Earth Shatter could have been blocked, but again, you've got to give him that little bit of leeway because he is on the NA ping. So I think by and large, what we're going to see a lot more from Sydney Drop Bears is the Winston as opposed to the Reinhardt, because the Reinhardt battle is going to be so tough here for Chrono Dota. It didn't look so solid there, at least for me, out from Numbani to start things off. Yeah, look. And this here as well, just by the way, a missed shield bash out from CKM. Either it was missed or it was blocked by the bubble of Roro. I don't think the bubble came down in time. I think it was just missed, but I'd have to go back and have a look at the replay in the end. But that was a wasted Earth Shadow out from Chrono because CKM did either miss or not connect the shield bash as a result of the bubble. So that was really nice from Blank Esports. And again, that was a big part of why that looked so messy for Sydney Drop Bears, because that big impactful ultimate toward the end there wasn't actually connecting to be able to push through. We spoke about this morning, right? We spoke about this at the top of the day that said last week so many of the big Reinhardt plays were combined with Brigitte and the shield bash. You've got that latency issue. It just makes it that little bit more difficult to achieve something that's
There's a very small window. It's a very, very small window that you can actually get that before the Reinhardt shield comes back up. So you need to be pretty on point.
Well, Elfishguy, it's half-time here between the Drop Bears and Blank Esports. At the top of the day, we said the Drop Bears should be coming through with the win, but Blank are starting to put a couple of spanners in the works. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more Overwatch action.